Hey everybody! I'm not sure what I'm up to yet. I'm gonna talk. I was watching this video yesterday. I don't know. I feel like they could have gone deeper in the conversation than what was shared. I actually took a screenshot so I could remember the name of it. And they were talking about loneliness. And it was called, oh man, I'm gonna suck at this, but Shaolin Master, why you must be alone to grow. I'm just gonna say that much. Anyway, I was sent this link and I thought, okay, let's give this a try. You must be alone to grow. I highly agree with that. I really know what loneliness is. And I feel like I've experienced loneliness on so many different levels of what that can mean. It's not just about having people in your life or not having people in your life. Having people in your life that you really value, that value you, or not having those people at all. Having a soulmate or not having a soulmate to share the rest of your life with. Feeling valued from a young age to an adult. That's usually where our minds go when we think about loneliness. We think about whether we have people that matter to us or we have no people at all. So if you're surrounded by people that matter to you and you still feel something is not inhaling or exhaling here, there's some kind of sense of loneliness. How in the world is anyone to ever make sense of that? So we have this guy, this speaker that's brought on to talk about what loneliness means to him. And I feel like he was trying to guide the conversation into something a bit indescribable. Because I felt it myself, and maybe you guys have felt it too. I feel like people that have the extra dimension, it's not like we're just here in a human world and that's all there is, was and ever will be, if we want to think that deep, you know? It's like you have the extra dimension to be aware that there's more to life than just being human. There's something else there. Even if I can't see it with my human eyes, I can tell inside myself. I can tell with my very being that there's something more. Whether you would want to call that fairies and gnomes or angels, God, alien beings, something mystical, magical, that there's something more. And maybe that's just a creative hocus pocus. You know, something we need to amputate and just bring in the almighty logical mind. We have a creative mind for a reason. And there's no sense of logic that was ever born from logic. It had to start from some creative spark where we're thinking outside the box and then building upon something where we say, holy smokes, this outside the box idea might be onto something brand new. Logic starts to set in and we're starting to build something solid here. And so creativity is important, and something of being spiritual is being creative. So loneliness for a spiritual person, it's not about having people or not having people. It's the spiritual connection with people that matters, yes. But what about with God? What about those times where you feel the spirit realm becomes so ridiculously silent? Where you feel you can't find your ground with who you are or why you're here anymore, even if it had once made all the sense. There's some agony in the existence of love that seems amputated from your life for no explainable reason. It's not a life without people, it's a life full of people, but something is missing there, and it seems to be the presence of the existence of sheer, pure love, you know? I know times where I've been really disoriented because the silence is so raw when that dimension gets so silent. You could do journeys and you can gather insight and wisdom and talk to the beings that talk back to you, but something of the sparkle is somehow missing. And you come into this very unfathomable, painful idea of balance in the human world. And that's all there is, was and ever will be. It's like there is no true sound at all. And now you exist in it. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. There's nothing you can do to make it go away, as in the dull ache, the soundless ache, to bring in the sound of love and God's presence and all of that sparkle, right? That extra dimension you know is there. You can't force it. It just comes when it comes. It goes when it goes. And so you just linger with yourself, and you linger in the world, and you linger with what you have. And you linger with something that is hard to put your finger on, is what's happened here? What's wrong? What's going on? And this stuff doesn't just reconcile in a day. It doesn't just reconcile in a year. It doesn't just reconcile in several years. It can be this underlying sensation that just is there. And so when I was listening to this, it got me thinking about loneliness, that people don't have any concept of it like this, and how unbearable it can feel. You can feel incredibly unbearable. It's also can be very lonely when it's almost like this world encourages people to think people like me are a joke. You know? I take my work very seriously, and I pride myself in becoming a better communicator and a better interpreter and analyst. I pride myself, okay? With my linguistical skills. But it's important to share. That's important to me. And how I share, like I try my very best with sharing, because I want to be received. I want to help. You can't help if you're a laughing stock, or you're a joke, or you're not taken seriously. Do you think I want to walk a path where people are automatically, if I say, oh, I do psychic energy work, automatically we have to go there, you know? Do you think I want that? Do you think I want to have to be that person? Well, I have to be that person because that's the person that I am. That's freaking lonely. That's a very lonely experience. I want to work a job where I'm freaking respected. But I have to be respected. Like, I have to create the ground. I have to create the presentation for others then to decide whether they want to respect me or not. But I hold the ground of respect, you know? So I know who I am. And others who don't know me, that's perfectly fine. You got to be who you are, you know, and where you're at with what you believe. I often thought about the human race being allowed to develop their energy analysis skills, my linguistical skills, you know. Now, if society doesn't want human beings to develop those skills where you actually can astral project and see into drawers in office buildings that you're not allowed to physically walk into, and you're actually able to look at stuff you're not supposed to see, when you're actually able to see people for who they truly are without ever actually meeting them in person. How in the world is society supposed to uphold its almighty balance? So someone like me being a laughingstock, and me teaching people how to do journeys and how to look into the energy and not translate it from your ego, and actually translate it from within here, and actually build an important skill, a powerful skill. That's going to literally transform your relationship with everything. It's going to empower you, and you are going to embrace yourself, your life, and everything about life on some profound next level. So if I'm taken seriously by society, and society welcomes more and more and more of this, the places we can go could undermine other parts of the balance of human society that want to control people. But people who are free, and people who are spiritual, and people who are truly aligned with information that is cosmic. It's not just in your computer. It's not just in Google. It's cosmic information. Everybody has access to it. We might not remember everything, because truly accessing information is remembering it again. You already have access to everything. You just remembering how to access it, then remembering the information you already knew inside yourself. We're drawn away from remembering that we are the almighty computer here. And I can only get so good at this. I'm going to keep trying to get better and better and better at this, right? But this is something. This is something for the human race. This is something for us. So what is loneliness in this conversation? If parts of society are afraid of people expanding and becoming actually genuinely psychic, what is that going to do? How's that going to offset the balance? It's going to mess things up, because nobody can hide anymore and nobody gets to be a liar anymore. That would be actually one of the best things that ever happened to us. And so it can be very lonely just to be somebody, who society doesn't want in society. It also can be very lonely when you're willing to go into deep, 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 unimaginable places and talk to any being in the universe. God forbid you talk to demons. You know that they're manipulating you. That's very annoying to me. Because if you don't interact with the energy world, you're not going to know how the energy world cannot manipulate, period. Because you're working with energy, and energy that represents manipulation is then manipulation. Human beings manipulate human beings, so we assume then the energy world is just as manipulative. It's not. It's clear. Now, is it complicated? Is there a lot of layers and a lot of pages and a lot of depth to the information? Yes. There's a lot of content there. I'm going to see it from this angle, try to see it from as many angles as I can. If it keeps coming up as this angle, we really need to focus on this. Okay, they're also showing me a lot of different angles. So we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. So this is going to give you a lot of stuff to work with here. Okay, so I can't always decide if this is going to have a lot of information or very consistently the same information, or how it's going to present itself. But the information will always go a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. So that's how the energy world works. And you can talk to whoever you want in the energy world. People just want to hold on to something. Hold on to something that they want to lean into as the almighty one thing that it's like, if I want to channel Archangel Lucifer, automatically subscriber count down. Why? Why can't I talk to Archangel Lucifer? Do you see where loneliness can come in here? Because you're misunderstood. Because people don't want to hear it. Okay? And so you have to be okay with being you. Now, when you're okay with being you and you're okay to go to places nobody else wants to go, doesn't even want to hear that you go there, insists you're being manipulated because they're afraid, not you. They're the manipulated one, not you, right? And you have to deal with all of this. But it's your journey to deal with this, right? It's not this that is so hard. And it's not a world full of people or even a lack of connection with people. Because I even found in the many, many years where I spent alone, I had the spirit realm. And I always had the spirit realm. I could be bored out of my mind in the middle of something that I didn't want to be a part of that conversation. It was absolutely, it was like, it's like, have you guys ever met up with some friends of friends and you're sitting there and the conversation is almost like stale crackers, and you smile and you give in some insights, you ask some intriguing questions to kind of see where this could go, right? But you just find yourself like further and further and further away from the exchange, and then you start laughing inside yourself, and then you go talk to somebody in the universe, and you're not even paying attention to the conversation anymore because your facial expressions are all over and you're smiling and you're actually looking around, you're inside yourself. talking to the universe that's always accessible and never goes away until you get into these unfathomable pockets where it's stagnant. It's like everything somehow became colorless without explanation. I feel like that is an unfathomable state of loneliness. And it feels like the absence of love, like the absence of God, the absence of the whole point of existence, you know? You can go through hardships, you're gonna go through hardships. It's laughable to think that, oh, if I could just live a life that doesn't have hardships. You want the hardships, okay? You want the challenges. You want the BS moments where you're learning how to stand your ground and talk about things and not let it hurt you or cut you down to size because someone said something you didn't want to hear and it wasn't fair to you. It's like, time to speak up, time to just say stuff, you know? Time to put the energy back into them and not into me. Like, time to realize and grow and make changes. But that kind of loneliness I'm trying to describe, listening to that video, and I'll put a link obviously in the description here. I was like trying to get into it, and I appreciate the interviewer for creating the space, you know? Because that video wouldn't exist without the interviewer and without the speaker. Like, it wouldn't exist without these two. In the exchange and the presentation of information is always valuable. And as you see, whether I feel like it went deep enough for me, I went deep with it. And now I'm in some way another branch of the tree of the conversation, to get us all thinking a little bit more and getting to know some other people out there. And this conversation about loneliness. Loneliness, if I were to describe the way it feels like your soul is being slowly digested. It's like your soul is being slowly digested. You know, like in the Star Wars, where they have that big mouth in the desert, and they say that you're going to be slowly digested in this thing for like 1,000 years. That's what it feels like to be lonely. It feels like you're being slowly digested in a weird desert stomach, creature stomach, like a weird pit of it, all right? It feels like that. And you never know when you're going to get out. You can't really die. You can't really live. What is that saying, though? The power of not being lonely versus the power of being lonely. Like when you're lonely and you feel like you're not really alive and you're not really dead and you're just a soul being slowly digested. How are you going to perform in life? How are you going to truly express yourself? Because depression can set in there, you know? It can really make you think that you are not worth loving if it does happen to be about people. If it weren't for all my loneliness, I might not have developed the skill that I have today to call myself a psychic energy healer so people can squawk at me about it. But obviously I have all you guys, and you're not squawking at me. I appreciate that. I value that. Thank you. Yeah, maybe I value getting squawked at too. It gives me practice of squawking back. I don't know. I never was much of a squawking type. But the older I get, the more I'm just like, I need to just use my voice and say it like it is. But have some finesse about it, because that's always important. Anyway, so loneliness. What truly is the solution? If it's lonely because you seek a soulmate, how do you just make one appear? I mean, you have to put yourself out there for one, and maybe you put yourself out there, it's just not enough. I mean, I put myself out there on YouTube, and once I did that, once I started speaking from my heart about who I truly am, which I always kept hidden, because I couldn't talk about these things without being considered a lunatic or something of a joke. So once I came out on YouTube, I met so many amazing people. It was like breath to my soul. It was like nourishment for my soul for the first time, because you meet people who get you, who accept you, who genuinely love you. And we don't have to know each other to actually love and appreciate each other. And that's a cool thing. That was the first time my soul started to really mend and heal from that. And that's like been one of the best parts about all of this. So the loneliness doesn't really mean the same. It's not like missing out on people that love and value you, but sometimes it's something else. It's like the absence of God. And sometimes it's a weird thing to say when you can talk to God all the time. And I experience God talking back, but yet I still feel the absence. And I can even tell God, it's like, all right, I know you're there. We're actually talking, but I feel like you're just so far away. Like, how do I correct that? It's like, I don't even ask anymore. I just know that things are meant to be the way that they are, and I just have to endure the suffering. And that the suffering is the joy. The reason why my soul came here was to experience this joyful suffering, because it helps my soul grow, and I become so much brighter from these lives here on earth. And so for that, my soul is always grateful. And so then I too must be grateful, right? So I just wanted to just throw in some 2 cents about it, I guess. And I know we know this conversation. I know we all know it. I know we all feel it. Being misunderstood, not fitting in. Feeling like God disappears sometimes. Where did God go? What happened? I don't have anybody in my life, right? And we all know this conversation. And do you agree that loneliness, that being alone creates growth? If your soul is being digested for 10,000 years or whatever in the desert worm's stomach, like, does it feel like you're growing at all, or does it feel like you're decaying? Boy, I love growing through decay. That's one of my favorite things to do. It's like, I know that one all too well. But look at me. You know, I'm an animated person. I've got a lot of experiences. I've developed my own skills. I teach people how to empower themselves. I heal people. Like, I figured this whole thing out. I made my own business. This stuff isn't easy. I had to do this single-handedly. I figured this crap out, you know? I figured out how to talk to the spirit realm. I figured out how to deal with my suicidal depression. I freaking figured it out. Like, I did that alone, you know? Like, the things you can do alone. Did I feel like my soul is in decay? Yes. But did I grow? Yes. When does it ever end? I don't know. I don't know. But maybe something of this message might help you not feel so alone, if you do feel alone. And maybe it'll lift your spirits. And it's hard to imagine somebody, you know, speaking like me, would know what loneliness is to the core, like the digestion level, like I don't have any battle scars, you know? I don't like to live my life where I frown or I slouch or I don't like to live my life like that. You know, even if I'm having a terrible day, I don't want to talk about it, because it doesn't have to be every day. It's just today's really weighing on me. Like, you know, it could be years. I'm having a tough time. You know, I made that Wambulance video. That is like a tough time I've been enduring for years. Like an inexplainable challenge that I don't know what to do about it. So I'm just like, it's just there, you know, it just like looks back at me and I look at it. And it's just, you know, I'm not going to slouch. I'm just, you know, I still want to be me. Like, I still want to be me and express myself. But there's an ache and there's a loneliness about it. To not know what to do. To not know why you exist. To not feel like, maybe the revolving door of your own reason for being has changed. Even for me. I wonder if I've learned everything I need to learn, and maybe there's something more out there for me than just this. And I've even thought about becoming a politician. I'm like, that is not ever what I've ever been interested in. But I want to help humanity, and humanity needs help. It needs good leadership. And I'm all about good leadership. Good leadership isn't taking the easy way out, and good leadership can speak the truth. Good leadership can acknowledge when it made an error. It's not about marketing and advertising everything that's exceptionally awesome about me. It's like what makes me human. But what makes me hold myself together. I'm not a victim. I'm just an experiencer. And this is how I'm getting through it. And this is solutions that make community thrive, you know? Dang, what a cool job. Actually could make a difference in a community in a political way. Oh, wow, that's new. You know, so I think about these things. And we aren't just standing still. Like, we're growing people. We're growing. Like nothing just stays the same. And if you have to have it stay the same and never change, there's going to be a crack in the ice eventually. It's gonna be a fall through and a drowning scenario. And that's a scary wake-up call, because change is the only constant, they say, and I do believe that. And so you got to go with the flow, and you got to be okay to be wrong, and you got to be open-minded to everything that's out there, you know? So I guess this is the conversation I felt inspired to share about loneliness. I'm going to put a link to, I had a video I did with Cryon. This was a couple years ago. And I asked Cryon to share a message about loneliness, and it's just coming back to my memory right now. I remember it moved me. I might have to revisit that. Anyway, I'll put that link in the description too. So I hope you don't mind the chit chat. Just thought I'd do something different since I watched that little video, kind of was inspired to say some things, and now I've got this video, so it's domino effect in action here. Thank you for following along. Thank you for your love and support here on YouTube. And yeah, if I can help you in a session, book one. Book 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, book a session. Let me help you. You can book a session at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. I share energy healing, psychic wisdom. I analyze things. So whatever questions you've got, I can explore it, because every question is associated with you, your soul, the infinite universe, and there's essential details in the reflective mirror that might be hard for you to see that I could help you access it. And we can harmonize whatever's in disharmony and talk about the way the energy looks, and just navigate an adventure into you and your questions. So that's what a session's like. You can also join Patreon. I'm doing live streams each week out there, something new each month. To see what I'm up to this month on Patreon, you can check me out at patreon.com/abbeynormalswisdomquest. Links will be in the description. Have an awesome day, everybody.